What's happening, everyone? Nerd Person Shooter here. Unfortunately, I kind of have a cold again. It's on and off since like the beginning of December. I work at Walmart and I deal with a lot of sick people who come in the store, hand me dirty money that they fucking lick with their fingers to separate the bills and shit. Okay, they cough in my face, they sneeze in my face, and I'm getting sick and fucking tired of being sick. So, I might actually end up looking for another job, one that doesn't require dealing with hundreds of people during flu season. Walmart is gonna kill me. I can hardly talk, man. My throat is filled with fucking phlegm. And until this clears, I cannot make another video. I'm just put it out there with you. So you might not see my Nerd Person Shooter Awards video until near the end of the month. But I can't narrate. I can't. I have the voice of a toad right now, or at least it feels like I have the voice of a toad. Anyway, guys, this might come as a shock for you, but I have another top 5 movies of the year. I know last year when I did it, I said it would probably be a one-time thing, but to be honest with you, lately I've been watching more and more movies. That doesn't mean that I'm playing less and less games. It just means I have access to a streaming service now, and I have access to a few new movies that I was interested in watching. Now, a couple of these movies on my top 5 list I do own physically that I got on Black Friday, but the other three I don't have. I don't own them, but I saw them on a streaming service. So, I have another top 5 movies of the year for you guys. Now, I'm no movie critic. You know, I'm not as good of a movie reviewer as I am a game reviewer. I don't know shit when it comes to like filmmaking and stuff. I just watch a movie and be like, either yeah, I enjoyed it or I didn't. That's it. Okay? These are not movies except for maybe one of them. One of them will likely get like a few Oscars and a Best Picture nomination, but the other four, they ain't getting awards, okay? So, to start off, my number 5 is The Naked Gun. Oh, come on. No, come on. It's a funny movie. Come on. Look, I love Leslie Nielsen. Leslie Nielsen is one of the greatest comedians of all time. Now, sadly, he passed away at the age of 83, I think in 2010, but he made some of the absolute most hilarious films in the 80s and 90s. All right, the Naked Gun trilogy, the original Naked Gun trilogy, are some of my favorite comedies ever. Ever. Now, do I think that the reboot starring Liam Neeson is as amazing as that, the original trilogy? Not really. But I still thought it was really funny. It's the funniest movie I've seen from last year. And Liam Neeson, I gotta tell you something, I'm not a huge fan of Liam Neeson. The only real dramatic work that I liked from him was like Schindler's List. But as a comedy, I think he's just great. I think he gets the job done. He plays Frank Drebin's son. So this acts as not only a reboot but also a sequel. And honestly, for the most part, he fills Leslie Nielsen's shoes to the absolute best of his abilities. And I also think that as a comedy, the set pieces work really well together. My favorite scenes were the chili dog scene and also the thermal binocular scene. If you've seen it, you probably remember it. It's pretty fucking funny. It's like right up there with Austin Powers. It's so silly. Now, I do think that some parts of it weren't funny enough, or just some parts of it tried to be pure action, or like really intense, like Fast and Furious or whatever, involving the villains. Whenever Frank Drebin isn't there, And I didn't like that. In the original Naked Gun trilogy, it was funny constantly. Like, even the villains were like fucking goofy caricatures who were just like dim-witted. In this one, it's like Frank Drebin is dealing with actual competent terrorists. And I just thought that parts of it were kind of off-putting or out of tone with the rest of the movie. But I still really enjoyed The Naked Gun. I thought it was funny. I thought it was goofy, and for the most part, it lives up to the originals, but not quite as great or as iconic. So, yeah, that was my number 5, is The Naked Gun. My number 4 is Ballerina from the world of John Wick. Now, this takes place between John Wick's 3 and 4. It's about this girl, um, Eve Macaro, played by Ana de Armas. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Ana de Armas. Ana de Armas. I don't know. But it also has supporting characters that we know and love. You see Winston there. John Wick, of course, is in it. Lance Reddick, I believe, in his final film role. Rest in peace, Lance Reddick. Now, I love John Wick. Unapologetically, give no shits what people think. I don't fucking care. I love the whole franchise of John Wick. I think all 4 movies are consistently phenomenal. It's actually probably my favorite action film series of all time. And I say that because there's not one entry that misses. Not like, Mad Max with like Thunderdome, which I never cared for, or Aliens with Alien 3 that kind of sucked, or the Terminator franchise where like the first 2 are really good and the rest are kind of meh. But John Wick just nails it every fucking time, and sometimes it just goes above and beyond the last one. Like it ups the ante every time. Now, I had a feeling that Ballerina wouldn't be quite as great as the rest of the franchise, and it's not. But holy shit, man, is it still really good. It's more of a revenge story. You play as, you play, I said you play as, because I still kind of look at these movies as video games, because they're so constant action. It's like a power fantasy. That's why I like these movies too, is that when you watch them, it feels like you're playing a video game almost. I can't explain that. As a moviegoer, I cannot explain that perspective of mine. I just can't. But these movies are like video games to me. Story-wise, I don't think it's as good as the main franchise. They added a new faction, an antagonistic faction. I'm trying not to spoil anything, but they're kind of like outlawed from the rest of the criminal underworld. They don't even have rules. They're like pillagers almost. And I was kind of hoping that it would go into more detail about that. The thing about the John Wick sequels are John Wick's 2, 3, and 4, not so much the ambiguous or first one, but like the sequels were really, really in depth on the lore building and just like the world building of everything and how everything operates. And here it disappoints a little bit. You know just enough, but I was hoping to know more. And maybe if they do make a sequel, we will know more. I don't know if they're going to make a sequel to this. The way it ends, it kind of sets it up a little bit, but at the same time, we don't really know what her new goal is next. So, I don't know. I really enjoyed it though. Still, like The Naked Gun, I didn't think it was quite as great as the originals, but still very entertaining and very satisfying to John Wick. From the world of John Wick, Ballerina, that's his full name. Norman Reedus is in here too, and I was kind of disappointed that his character didn't get that much more screen time. He was only in this for like 5 minutes, maybe, Norman Reedus. But I liked his character, but it didn't go anywhere. It's not like a 9 or a 10 out of 10 like the rest of the franchises, but I would give this a solid 8 out of 10. It's a really fun movie with plenty of really satisfying fight scenes. I really loved the flamethrower scenes too. Those are awesome. And now my third favorite movie of this year is Sinners. This is the movie that's gonna win a couple Oscars. This is the movie, the one movie out of the five I have that is gonna get Best Picture nomination. It might even win Best Picture because it's pretty fucking awesome. Sinners, it's basically it's basically like From Dusk Till Dawn with vampires, except it takes place in a Jew establishment. Now, I don't mean Jew as in Jew. I mean Jew as in, you know what? I don't know. It takes place during the Great Depression in like the 1930s about two kind of like I don't know if they're like loan sharks, but they're kind of like criminals. They're twins, played spectacularly by the great Michael B. Jordan, who has since become one of my all-time favorite actors. I love this man in Creed. He was in the three Creed movies as Apollo Creed's son. He was also in Fruitvale Station, which was also fantastic. This guy does good work. Okay, and he collaborates with Ryan Coogler, who also makes, again, he directed this movie too, but he also directed the first two Creed movies until Michael B. Jordan, I believe, directed the third one. He also directed Fruitvale Station, which I thought was his debut film. But this is a really awesome horror movie. It's not really scary, but it's really well written. It's really well edited. Like the way it transitions from shots and like cuts and the way it transitions from scene to scene is really awesome. It's more of like an action horror movie, like with more emphasis on like action and stuff. But it does have a lot of themes on racism. The vampires are mostly, or at least the head vampire is kind of like a white slaver. So it does have borrowed themes, from other movies by black directors, but it's still made really well. Back in the day when blacks were freed, but they were still persecuted. They were still treated very unfairly at the time. They were still hunted by KKK and white lynch mobs. And this movie kind of shines upon that. But it does so in a way that doesn't feel cliche. It feels very original, very creative, and overall, I just really enjoyed it. But believe it or not, this is not my favorite horror film of the year. My favorite horror film of the year is Weapons. Weapons, in my opinion, is more creative and actually more original than Sinners. That's why I'm giving the number two spot edge to Weapons over Sinners. I know a lot of people probably wouldn't agree with me, but that's just how I feel. When I finished watching Sinners, going back and forth, I'm like, both these horror movies are like really awesome, but which one resonated with me more as like a moviegoer, not looking at movies as like a societal point or like an aesthetic point of view, but just more of like a thought-provoking piece. Weapons, in my opinion, was more thought-provoking. Weapons is about a group of kids from a classroom, except for one kid, who all mysteriously go missing in the middle of the night at the same time, at the same place, and it's told from like different perspectives. It has chapters, and each main character has their own chapters, their own perspective, their own viewpoint on whatever the fuck is going on around town. It's a very good, mysterious kind of thriller horror movie. I just have to spoil this one little thing. Actually, it's not really a little thing. It's kind of like the main threat of the whole film. It's about witchcraft. It's about a fucking witch who is hiding in town, kidnapping kids, and basically sucking the life energy out of them. Now, this witch, Aunt Gladys, is played phenomenally by Amy Madigan, who, this woman deserves the Oscar, Best Supporting Actress. This is the woman who played Uncle Buck's girlfriend in Uncle Buck. And she just plays it really. she's really terrifying, but at the same time, like really charming and kind of humorous. Very distinctive looking. She has a lot of makeup on her, and I'm sorry, she kind of looks like a female Pennywise. Weapons I like more than Sinners. Maybe not by much, but I do like it more. I think Weapons. I suppose Weapons has more of like a missing kids theme going on it, and that's something that a lot of parents are dealing with. Their kids are going missing, or their kids got murdered, and I think Weapons is more about grief, whereas Sinners is more about persecution. And I just feel like Weapons is a more original piece. It's more mysterious. It's more contemporary, and I will admit though, I do like the ending of Sinners more than the ending of Weapons. I thought that the ending of Weapons went too full blown comedy. Weapons had a lot of like comedic elements. Like so Sinner is like a horror action movie, whereas Weapons is more of like a horror comedy. And it overdoes it a bit at the end in Weapons. It just makes it too silly and just kind of over the top. We're talking like Benny Hill here. Like fucking like you could play the Benny Hill theme during that final chase sequence and it would fit perfectly. Yeah, the ending kind of sucks in Weapons, and that's probably the reason why it's not my favorite movie of the year. Is the fucking ending of Weapons, but the rest of it is awesome. I love Josh Brolin's character. He plays one of the fathers of the kids who gets kidnapped, and I love how they kind of downplay the efforts of the police. The police are like the fucking idiots in town, and like the civilians are like smarter than the police. Like they actually get more shit done in figuring out this mystery than the police do. And it's pretty funny. Those are my favorite movies of the year that aren't documentaries. Yes, my favorite movie of the year is a documentary. Now, this documentary is not about a place, it's not about an event, it's not about any scientific breakthroughs or political discussions or whatever, or any wars. It is just about one person who made a huge difference to all of us as moviegoers, as people who appreciate comedy, as people who just love celebrities who are down to earth people. If you've seen this before, you already know who I'm talking about. My favorite movie of the year is John Candy, I Like Me. John Candy, oh man, he passed away in 1994. He was only 43 years old. He didn't take good care of himself. He was very heavy. He smoked a lot. He drank a lot. But during the brief time he had here on Earth, he touched so many damn people. He was one of the nicest men on Earth. I never got to meet him, but watching this documentary, and all the people, all of his friends who are still here, like Dan Aykroyd and Catherine O'Hara and Bill Murray, they can't think of one bad thing about him. He was like the nicest man in Hollywood. He was the nicest, man during that era of filmmaking and SNL. And what was that first one he did? Second City TV in Toronto, Canada. And man, I love his movies too. Like one of my favorite movies of all time is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It's probably my favorite holiday movie of all time, to be honest with you. And he made that movie work just because of how he was you as a person, you know? And this documentary it fucking hit me like a ton of bricks. By the time this documentary ended, I was weeping. I was in tears. You know how sometimes on Facebook you see posts where it'd be like you can only bring back one comedian. Who would it be? And you would have Robin Williams, which most people would pick. You would have Chris Farley, you know. You would also have, Andy Kaufman maybe, or Phil Hartman, or Gilda Radner. For me though, I would always have to pick John Candy. The guy was just a huge teddy bear. He didn't kill himself like Robin Williams did, so even if we could bring him back, I'm afraid that Robin Williams would just kill himself all over again. So I would resurrect John Candy in a heartbeat. The man had a heart of gold, and the older I get, the more I feel like nothing makes me happier than watching a documentary about an individual who touched so many lives in the most positive way. It's one of those kind of like humanity restored type moments. Is is having a really special person like John Candy happen to become a celebrity. It's almost like having one of our own, like having a family member become a comedian and not selling himself out, not becoming an arrogant piece of shit, just staying true to his values. And John Candy was that. He was such a big impact on the world that when he died, when his funeral procession was taking place, and I had no idea about this until I watched the documentary, that they closed off a freeway to transfer his body. This only happens on two other occasions: popes and presidents. This is the first time that they did this to an actor. Ever. They didn't do this for Marlon Brando. They didn't do it for Humphrey Bogart or anyone else. They did it for John Candy. My God. And you know what? He deserved it. He deserved the best. And I wish he had lived longer. But this documentary, it really touched my soul in a way that these other four movies just didn't. I still really enjoyed these other four movies, but John Candy, I Like Me is my film of the year. So yeah. What are your guys' favorite films of 2025? Let me know in the comments. I did also buy Jurassic World Rebirth during Black Friday for like $10, and I'm not sure why. I don't like Jurassic Park, but at the same time, I'm always trying to give it another chance. I have not seen it yet, but I highly doubt it's going to crack the top five of these. I highly doubt that it's going to dethrone like The Naked Gun as my top five. I highly doubt that. Oh, I will rectify something from my top five of last year, though. My number five spot was Deadpool and Wolverine last year, but at the time I had forgotten that I had also seen Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. That's a better movie than Deadpool and Wolverine, in my opinion. So, as a matter of fact, I like that more than Nosferatu, too. So, I would rank Hundreds of Beavers as number one, Conclave is number two, The Substance is number three, and then Furiosa number four, and then Nosferatu number five. So yeah, going back, I want to shift that around, give a little update on that. Deadpool and Wolverine isn't in my top five. It's a funny ass movie, but it's not in my top five. I had forgotten, for some reason, I had seen Furiosa back in 2024. That was a 2024 movie, right?